Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to cover how much exercise should you be getting. So in this video we're going to cover exactly how many minutes of exercise do you need. What happens if I don't get in any exercise? Does it matter if I'm younger, middle-aged, older, or have a special medical condition? Does it matter what kinds of exercise that I'm doing, and do certain things count as exercise? Lastly, we're going to cover, is there a peak to how much exercise I can do before I'm not receiving any benefits, or perhaps I'm overdoing it. Okay, so the first question I want to answer is, do you need exercise? And the answer is nope. So once you turn this video off, scroll on to my next video. No, I'm just kidding. You do not need exercise, but as I like to say, if there were a drug that made you smarter, made you resilient to like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancers, and increased your lifespan by a significant portion, would you take this drug? Of course you would take this drug. And what if I told you this drug was essentially free, or at least it could be free? You're not going to pay very much for it. In the long run, it's going to pay for itself and more. Would you take this drug? Of course you're going to take this drug. So the drug that I'm talking about is exercise. And it's not only exercise, we're not just talking about physical conditions, we're also talking about mental health though too. So everybody gets prone to like getting down with the dumps. Everybody has little bouts of anxiety and depression and worry and stress where we get a little bit overwhelmed and overloaded too much. That's where exercise can come in and really help you. So I need you to take advantage of this. No, you don't need to do an exercise, but I don't want you to also feel like crap. And so for those of you who aren't exercising right now, I know that you're not feeling very good. And one of the reasons why is you're not getting a sufficient amount of exercise. And that's what I want you to do. So this brings us into our next segue. How many minutes of exercise should you be doing? And before I get into that, and believe me, we're going to answer that, but that's not important as the other things we're going to be covering. I need you to commit to having a daily habit of going for 5 to 10 minutes of at least a brisk walk or even a run per day. This is critical because if you're not building the daily habits of getting in something every day, you likely will not achieve that minimum recommended goal for how many minutes you should get per week. So without further ado, the recommended amount of time that you should be getting per week for exercise is 150. And I like to use this mnemonic device for it. 150 is nifty, but more makes you look like Thor, and that is true without a doubt. If you want to look awesome, typically you're probably going to have to do a little bit more than 150 minutes per week. However, for those of you who are deconditioned, you were that great athlete in your youth or in college or even in professional sports, and you look back in your heyday and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a great athlete. Well, how many minutes did you get in this week? Let me ask you that. How many minutes did you get in last week of total exercise? Be honest, okay? So if you didn't hit 150, you got some room for improvement. And so that's why I need you to be having a daily habit of at least 5 to 10 minutes where you can do something. And it's even better if you can have some sort of planned activity, if you can do it with another person. And certain things count too. Gardening, hiking, playing your sport if you have one, or just going into the gym and walking at least probably for 3 miles per hour on the treadmill. So when I say walking, I mean walking at a pretty fast speed. All right, so all those things count as activity. Now, although the US guidelines are a little bit different than the World Health Organization, and since I have a lot of subscribers that are not based in the United States, I like to use the World Health Organization because they're essentially the same. The World Health Organization does recommend 150 minutes per week of moderate or greater physical activity, as well as 2 strength training sessions or more per week. So this might mean that you're doing some resistance training in the gym with free weights or body weight exercises or dumbbells or bands or some sort of commercial program, whatever it is. Muscle strengthening is very important, and you get distinct benefits, especially to the brain versus cardiovascular exercise. But even if you don't do any resistance training, I want you still to commit to some activity. And the one that I really like to get people started on is walking. And if you can walk outside for 5 to 10 minutes per day as a start or even more, Please commit to that and please keep that up, because if you do that, I've just added on at least 1 to 10 more years of your life. All right, so does it matter if I'm younger, middle-aged, older? And the reality is that when we're younger, we actually need more activity. So if you're like 3 to 5 years old, if you have kids, these kids need to be playing 3 hours per day. So getting them out on the playground, wrestling with them, doing some sort of like sport with them, baseball, football, soccer, whatever, to just get out and play for at least 3 hours per day is so critical for brain and bodily development that the research is really clear. We need at least 3 hours if we're in that age range. Ages 6 to 17 need about 60 minutes of moderate activity per day, okay? So in the US, gym class is just not as popular as it was before, and it absolutely should be. We should be having gym class every day. We know it helps with mental health, and it helps with the brain, it helps with memory and learning. So basically, kids should be getting at least 60 minutes or more per day and 3 muscle strengthening sessions per week. So if you're age 6, 7, 8, 9, if you have kids at that age, get them started with resistance training. There's still mythologies about like, oh, you shouldn't be starting kids too early with weights. That is bogus. You absolutely have to get these kids started, get them strong, get them conditioned, and probably if you're age 6, 17, have fun with it. Join a sport that you're interested in, that you like. You may not be the best, but just go out there, try your hardest, and the more different sports that you do, the better it is for you. So if you're older than 17 years old, though, the typical recommendation of 150 minutes comes into play, and I really want you to be striving to hit that. Also, even if you're an older adult, and if you're an older adult, that's where balance comes into play. So older adults can benefit especially by doing programs which incorporate balance. And right around age 40, we start to lose explosive strength. So doing explosive work, plyometrics, jumps, even stuff like basketball. So doing any kind of activity counts as 150 minutes. So if we divvy it up, 150 minutes, really, you could be doing exercising 3 times a week for 50 minutes. And if you really needed to, you could walk fast for 50 minutes for all those sessions. And guess what? You're gonna achieve your goal. You're getting all the mental health benefits, all the body. You're helping to prevent diseases. You're increasing how long that you live. And you're increasing your quality of life so you can function even better later on, so you don't wind up in a wheelchair for 30 years not being able to do anything. You'll still be able to do stuff. So is there an upper limit to how much exercise you should be getting? There's not. However, there's some cool stuff in that if you're training for 300 or more minutes, you even get greater benefits. You're probably gonna live longer. You're gonna be even more resilient to cardiovascular disease, cancers, and you improve your mental health. So there's times where people can certainly overdo it if they're running so much that they get a stress fracture, or if they have pain. Well, you need to cut back on the volume or maybe that specific activity. But the point is, you have to find something that you can do. And also, it's recommended for people who have disabilities or chronic pain that you exercise for 150 minutes per week. This is gonna help you likely get out of pain, and you probably should work with a professional physical therapist and or trainer with these things to find the activities that you can do. So I don't care what your excuse is, I don't care, you gotta get going and find something that can work for you and something that allows you to work hard. So the point is, I want you to have fun, include it as part of your daily routine, make sure that you're doing it consistently. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel, ask me any questions, I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching.